There are about 160 unique weapons in TF2. Some classes are bound to share their toys with others, so today we'll be discussing these shared weapons and see how serviceable they are to each class. The first of these shared weapons is the pistol, shared by the scout and the engineer. Both of these classes use the pistol in their secondary slot, and the pistol is typically used for mid to long range, where the shotgun or the scattergun won't be as effective. The scout and the engineer have nearly identical stats for the pistol, except that the scout reloads his pistol 0.03 seconds faster, and the engineer has 200 bullets in reserve. The scout mostly uses the pistol to finish off targets when out of primary ammo, while the engineer uses the pistol to soften up enemies and also as a makeshift flamethrower to track down invisible spies. Engineers tend to use the pistol more as a primary when using other unlocks for shotguns. The pistol is especially great for when his primaries focus more on utility and have downsides in combat, like the Rescue Ranger and the Thompson using weaker projectiles, or to compensate for the ammo capacity of the Widowmaker and Frontier Justice. Overall, the pistol is great to use for both classes and has great cohesion with their kits. The shotgun is shared by the Soldier, Pyro, Engineer, and the Heavy. It's used as a secondary by all these classes except for Engi, since he uses the shotgun in his primary slot. The shotgun deals a base damage of 6 per pellet and shoots about 10 pellets per shot. At max ramp up, it deals 90 damage. The shotgun is mostly used for close to mid-range. The Pyro could use it at long range since he lacks other long-range options when equipped. The shotgun is less used nowadays due to so many unlocks. Instead of the shotgun, soldiers use the gunboats or banners, Pyros use flare guns, and the Heavy uses his lunchbox items. The Engineer is the slight exception, since his loadouts need to be flexible for any situation. Engineer could swap to the shotgun to focus more on self-defense rather than his sentry. Engineer and the Heavy are tied for the fastest reload speed for the shotgun, then Soldier, and finally Pyro. Whenever they equip the shotgun, Soldier and Pyro use it more for combos and burst damage. Soldiers can fire a rocket and then swap to the shotgun to deal more DPS, rather than reload and fire another rocket. Pyros could light up enemies and blast them away while they retreat and take afterburn damage. They're also encouraged to use the shotgun versus other enemy Pyros and Darwin snipers, since they both have fire resistance. Heavy likes to use the shotgun for positioning. Without talking about Fat Scout, the shotgun is actually pretty good on Heavy, since it lets him be more mobile and take more aggressive positions without being interrupted. The shotgun also soft counters spies when playing a roaming Heavy, since you don't need to stop and rev up your minigun, you can just start the fight instantly. Finally, the shotgun is great for retreating as Heavy, since you don't need to rev up to defend yourself. Engineer uses the shotgun for self-defense. The Engineer should always be playing near sentry, and using that backup firepower helps out a lot, since you'll be 2v1ing the enemy like the Ice Climbers. The shotgun is great versus spies that tend to get too close to your nest, and the shotgun is great in general to use on this class. These are all reasons why these 4 classes should use the shotgun, so why don't they? For Soldier, if mobility is important, the shotgun hurts to use, since it means less rocket jumps before you need healing. It also encourages a slower playstyle where you stick with your combo and you waddle. For Pyro, his flare gun serves him so much better at longer range and could harass players more effectively. The detonator and thermal thruster also open the door to Pyro, having more mobility to jump around the map and flank. Also, the Scorch Shot just does everything, so there's that. Heavy would also much rather have his sandwich, since it lets him heal back to full and heal his teammates instantly. Heavy is more of a defensive class, hanging around the combo, so keeping the medic and teammates alive with the sandwich has much more impact than a Heavy running from point A to point B with a shotgun. Being able to stay alive longer as Heavy is vital to defending points or holding areas. The Engineer could swap off the shotgun for a few good reasons. If it's more important to keep your sentry alive and relocate from far away, use the Rescue Ranger. If your sentry gun has kills, use the Frontier Justice so you could get free crits after you destroy it. If your aim is on point, use the Widowmaker. And if you hate yourself, use the Thompson. The shotgun for these 4 classes is still great and it's a viable weapon. Unlocks just add more utility and variety to your gameplay. Don't be afraid to equip the shotgun or to switch off of it. It's supposed to be a flexible weapon. With that being said, my opinion is that the Pyro and Engineer benefit the most from running a shotgun compared to the Soldier and Heavy. The Soldier benefits more from the passive upsides of his secondaries from the gunboats and the banners, while the heavy is allowed to play more team-centric with his sandwich, allowing him to heal up his teammates and himself. Overall, the shotgun is a great weapon. Consider it next time you're playing any of these 4 classes. Just like the shotgun, the panic attack is shared by the same 4 classes. It has 5 more pellets per shot with the trade-off of dealing less damage per pellet. The panic attack has a max damage of 108. It fires in a fixed pattern, so there's no random bullet spread, not even in casual. The faster you shoot, the more the spread widens. This could be bypassed by firing slower or swapping weapons between shots. Swapping to the panic attack is 50% faster, so it encourages a more combo-oriented playstyle. The panic attack has the same general application as the shotgun. For Soldier and Pyro, they would use this weapon to combo. For Pyro, this shotgun is more effective in the Pyro mirror match and heavy 1v1. The switch speed lets Pyro shred these 2 classes up close by constant switching between flames and bullets. Heavy would use this to relocate, and Engineer would use this for self-defense. The shotgun is much more useful at mid-range, but the panic attack is almost strictly close range due to the bullet spread. The difference may seem small, but it strongly impacts when to use the panic attack over the shotgun. Soldier uses the panic attack the same way that he does with the shotgun, so it's really down to personal preference if you're in the mood for faster switch speed or tighter shots. For Pyro, if you use this with the degreaser, you get an insane amount of DPS through constant switching between flames and bullets. For Engineer, since you usually have your wrench out to repair buildings, the switch speed of the panic attack could come in really clutch. Heavy is the weakest with the panic attack. The only viable use case is with the Brass Beast, where revving up takes a lot more commitment. Other than that, it's ultimately worse than stock, since you're only effective in strictly close range with no way to heal yourself. The spread of the panic attack also forces Heavy, the slowest class in the game, to be point blank to make the best use out of this unlock. When you run the shotgun as Heavy, you already have it out when relocating, so the switch speed is nearly useless when roaming. The panic attack is like stock, but with a few tweaks. It's only useful for 3 out of the 4 classes. It has great synergy with Soldier, Pyro, and Engineer's playstyles and unlocks. I wouldn't recommend using the panic attack as Heavy. Other than that though, this weapon is very solid and very fun. The reserve shooter is shared by the Soldier and Pyro. It has 4 shells loaded compared to stock 6. The reserve shooter deploys 20% faster and deals mini crits versus blast jumping enemies. For Soldier, it's used more as a finisher to quickly kill enemies launched by your rockets. For Pyro, pre-Jungle Inferno, it used to mini-crit enemies when air blasted. Now, the Pyro could only mini-crit enemies if launched by explosives. As of Jungle Inferno, the reserve shooter became almost useless for Pyro. The Pyro could only work with the faster switch speed. It's best used in tandem with the degreaser for a similar combo to the panic attack, except the reserve shooter has a tighter spread, so it can be used for more than close range. It's also still good whenever you see bombing soldiers or demos. The only difference between the Soldier and Pyro with the reserve shooter is that the Pyro could taunt kill. Other than that, the reserve shooter is decent for Soldier, but below average for Pyro. It can be used as a middle ground between the panic attack and stock due to the switch speed, although the reduced clip size hurts both classes. The base jumper is shared by Soldier and Demo. It replaces Soldier's secondary and Demo's primary. Pressing the jump key in midair lets the user slow their fall. It's good at saving players from fall damage. For Soldier, it's intended to be used with the airstrike. It lets him float while he bombs, so it could possibly throw off the aim of grounded players. It also makes hitting market gardens so much easier. For Demo, it's also used for bombing, but much worse since you lose your grenade launcher. The base jumper isn't good for either class, since it leaves you as a target in midair. If the player wants more mobility playing as Soldier, the Gumbo to fill that role so much better than the parachute. The base jumper is so much worse on Demo since he loses more than Soldier. With the parachute, you're stuck with only stickies. Stickies are great, but it makes close quarters combat so much more difficult without a grenade launcher to back you up. With this grenade launcher, Demo gains access to more crowd control and has more self-defense in closer ranges. Why not use the booties if you want to play sticky Demo? In general, the parachute isn't good for either class. Your weaknesses as Soldier and Demo only get amplified since you become an easier target in midair, and you'll have less health overall since this item encourages more blast jumping. The base jumper is a fun unlock to goof around with, but for serious play, the opportunity cost of losing gunbolts for Soldier or your grenades as Demo is far too great. The Pain Train is a melee shared by the Soldier and Demo. It offers a +1 capture rate for control points and payloads. You don't even need to hold the weapon out to get its benefits. This melee also offers a passive 10% bullet vulnerability. It's used mainly for being the cart bitch or the cleanup crew for capturing control points. It's very effective at pushing last, but useless on defense. This weapon is more useful to Demo since his other melees are geared more towards Demo Knight. It's still effective to use as Demo Knight if you're capturing or pushing the cart. The soldier loses access to some of his stronger melee options, like the escape plan, the disciplinary action, and the market gardener. The pain train is strictly used for objectives. The 10% bullet vulnerability barely makes an impact on gameplay, so it's a straight upgrade from stock if you're playing on offense. The pain train is a good unlock for both classes and fits well into their kits. It's outclassed by other melees that grant more utility or damage. Only use the pain train if you're on offense and care about the objective. The final multi-class weapon is the Half-Zatoichi. It's a melee weapon shared by Soldier and Demo. It deploys 75% slower and has a 50% longer melee range. Sheathing the sword without getting kills deals 50 damage to yourself. This can be avoided by walking into the resupply cabinet, and it could also be used to help build uber faster. On kill, you gain plus 50% of your base health. For Soldier, if you get a kill, it's plus 100 HP or plus 110 if you're wearing the battalion's backup. For Demo, it's plus 88 HP or plus 100 if you're wearing the booties. The katana also gives overheal if the health gained exceeds your maximum health. With this weapon, you also one-shot any soldier or Demo holding the katana. It's an extremely fun mechanic. Landing a hit on another katana user deals 300% of their max HP, so Soldier could potentially use it to fill up his banners quickly. The katana is best used with Demo compared to Soldier. It's one of regular Demo's best melee weapons aside from stock. It's more effective to build uber with as Demo since you're part of the pocket. The katana is also the best sword for Demo Knight. It allows Demo Knight to be a tank and have amazing sustainability. You become a close-range damage sponge. Using the sword on Demo Knight is like becoming a Deadringer kunai spy, but with much more health. For Soldier, the Half-Zatoichi is only really useful for roaming and flank playstyle. It's outshined by the Market Gardener and Escape Plan, since the Market Gardener allows for easy picks, and the Escape Plan allows for retreating. For combat, it's great if you get a kill. If the enemy moves out of range though, you're stuck as the second slowest class in the game with no easy way to close the gap. The Half-Zatoichi is great as a last-ditch effort in a melee fight since you regain half of your health when you win. It has its uses for Soldier, but shines with stock Demo and Demo Knight. Today we discussed all the shared weapons between the TF2 classes. All the weapons have great synergy with each of the class's strengths and weaknesses. The best of these multi-class weapons are easily the pistol and shotgun. The Panic Attack, Pain Train, and Katana are also good weapons, but they aren't as consistently viable as the pistol or shotgun. The weakest of these weapons are the Panic Attack for Heavy, Reserve Shooter for Pyro, and the Base Jumper for Demo. Overall, Valve did a good job at making these multi-class weapons balanced for each class. Even if some weapons fall short, they still provide value to the class that uses them.